Hello, my lovelies, it's Nikki Knox again. So, today is Saturday, and usually I spend Saturday mornings just meditating, reading, connecting with myself. So I take my sweet F time to do it. I'm usually done at around 2 p.m. or something. I claim my energy back by freeing up my weekends for just me. So I take long baths, I take long walks, I read a lot, I do some spiritual healing, I do some kind of involvement for myself. I check in with myself every week to see what's really happening in my head and in my soul. Really, it's more about my soul and my heart, my head. I know what's happening in my head. I do those check-ins every day, why I get annoyed about certain things and stuff. So this morning during my meditations, the thing that popped into my head was how I always attract a certain type of people. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. So during that kind of thought process, I realized that I always attract. The question I posed to myself was, why do I always attract someone who are taking their sweet ass time, taking me for granted and thinking I will never go? So it happened with my long-term partner. It happened with another person I was connecting with. They just think that I make them feel so comfortable, and I make sure I reassure them, consciously or unconsciously. I'm gonna say that a lot on this channel. I reassure them that once I'm with them, right, I don't care about anybody else, and that's exactly how I am. I am a very loyal person by nature. If I'm in a relationship, I am in a relationship, basically. That's why it's been many months that I'm single and I haven't dated yet. I'm not going there. I just don't have that need to be out there for everybody to, I don't know, do whatever they need with me. I need to protect my energy. Also, it's not for everybody, but I'm not gonna apologize for how I'm feeling. I'm just feeling like after a breakup, and mine was a breakup after 11 years, was meant to get married this year. After a breakup, everybody, the common process is to start dating, get yourself out there, build that confidence back, be that badass bitch that, prove your ex this and that who hurt you, blah 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 blah, on both sides. And it's not just women, it's men as well. It's like dog who finally escaped I don't know, the cage or whatever. I don't know, it's like a wild animal setting themselves free and they just do whatever. I don't understand, and I never have. I cannot understand how putting yourself out there and going around and fucking about with just anybody all the time and giving bits and pieces of your energy and yourself to so many people, how does that help you? How does that really help you heal? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I don't get it because I wasn't the one who was left. I was the one who left someone. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's different on the other side. I don't know. It's just, I just can't wrap my head around that. In my opinion, so in my situation, right, I'm a giver, and I walked away from someone when I realized that that person was just taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and never giving anything back, and that person was depleting me. So I left to restore my energy, right? I claimed my power back, I claimed my energy back, and I walked away. And I chose to just stay out of the relationships for a bit until I fix myself, until I heal, until I restore my own energy resources, and stopped everybody from extracting that energy from me, I became very protective of my energy. So if I chose a different way, the usual way, that for the life of me, honestly, in my opinion, that whole going out and dating and fucking about thing is imposed on you by society. That's what people expect you to do. So in my case, I've abandoned my body, because many givers do. We just don't have the time for that. Our looks is just not on the priority list. It's everybody else's needs are above ours, right? And I didn't feel at that time, when I walked away from him as well, I didn't feel the need to just jump and fix my body and get myself fit and everything so that everybody wants me and I can show him what he's lost and blah blah blah. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. He knows what he's lost, and it's not my looks. It's got zero to do with my looks, and I just don't get it. And usually what people do is focus on their looks only, and that's all they care about. I'm gonna fix my looks. I'm gonna go and get the validation from other people that I am loved, I am needed, I'm worthy of better things. I'm worthy, especially ladies, right? Oh my goodness, yes, I'm gonna make them crawl. I'm gonna have like 6 guys running around with flowers and everything. I'm gonna take those free dinners. I'm gonna take those free trips or concerts or whatever. Yeah, they can treat me. I deserve this. I've done so much for everybody. And you just kind of flip on the dark side. From being a total giver, you just flip like 180. And I don't really get that. I don't understand how that helps. Because if you're a giver, right, let's just talk it out, right? Because that's exactly what this channel is going to be. It's not structured. I'm just going to talk about what's on my mind every time. So let's talk it out. You've been a giver, let's say, right? You finally realize that you're surrounded by takers, right? They just deplete your energy. You have no time. You have no energy to invest in yourself. You have no goals of your own, because you just don't even have your own life. You live to serve others. Okay, if you're a priest, but you're not a priest, are you? Because I don't think priests would be on my channel, but maybe I'd be honored. But once you have that realization, why if it's not for that theory that it's imposed, that expectation is imposed on you by the society, from your own little perspective, why would you then feel the need, if you really think about it, why would you then feel the need to go and put yourself out there for more people to take advantage of you again without healing, right? Because that's what normally happens. You leave somebody, within a month you're like on dating apps, you're going out on dates, you're like posting on social media these massive transformations, you're a completely different person, and you grow in a fucking month. Really? I mean, no. You should, if you've been a giver, right? I'm not talking, there are many other scenarios, right? And some scenarios maybe that works, right? In my scenario that I'm talking about, it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't make any sense. You will end up crashing, I promise you. You can try it yourself, or you can take this as a warning. You will crash, because that's gonna make you feel even less of a decent person, if you know what I mean. You will disappoint yourself if you do that, because you haven't allowed yourself to heal, and you will end up in the same situation that you escaped, if not worse. So I've witnessed that with many of my friends, and just in general people that I know. I witnessed that many times, when they leave one relationship and they don't allow themselves decent time to heal. It's not about the time, it's actually about how you connect with your true self. If they don't, time has almost nothing to do with that. It will, saying that though, it will take a while. right? To really connect, you can't just be completely disconnected from yourself, because you obviously have been. If you gave your energy to everybody else but yourself, you're completely disconnected. You can't go from that to, oh yeah, I'm fully aligned with my true self and I know my worth, I love myself, and blah, blah. It takes sweet time, and you need to allow that. So many people who leave relationships and don't allow that time, they end up and jump straight into the new relationship. And I can promise you, I can paint the picture for you. The next relationship after leaving someone who may have narcissistic qualities, right? Someone who was just a weaker person than you and relied on your energy so much for their own survival, right? When you leave that kind of relationship and you choose to jump in another relationship because you feel like you need somebody, that you can't be alone, or that's like somehow a defeat on itself. If you walk away from somebody and you stay single, it just doesn't happen. You walk away from somebody and you just go to a new relationship, right? That's the norm. If you do that, I can promise you that next person is gonna, whatever you were lacking in your past relationship, the thing that you were lacking the most, that next person is gonna have. And that's why you're gonna fall for that person, because you're completely depleted of that particular something. It could be sex, it could be talking, it could be just, doing things, going out to places, seeing things, experiencing things, right? Whatever you were depleted of in your previous relationship, that next person is gonna have those things. And you're gonna absolutely fall for that, because that is the biggest hole in your cup of love from yesterday's session, right? In your cup of who you are. You need to plug that biggest leakage. So that's gonna be your next person if you go there without healing. Okay, then it's gonna take some time for you to realize that although that person has all of those qualities that you were lacking so badly, and now the leakage is fixed, right? You're no longer, you had good time with that person, right? That leakage is fixed. The person has served his purpose, basically, right? But then you will realize that you're still not happy. It's still not the one. You will realize that if you're really switched on, or if not, you're just gonna go for it. There's no way for your own fulfillment. You just needed to go to places and see things. There's just, honestly, no. You need more. You deserve more. It's not just that, but it was an emergency fix, right? And I'm not saying that's bad or good, or you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. It is what it is. Every person you meet in your life serves some kind of purpose. They're either a lesson or a blessing, and they're there to help you whichever way. If it's a negative experience with the person, it helps you grow tremendously if you learn your lessons. If it's a positive experience, thank them. You may stay with them, it's always that each person, it's impossible to predict it or generalize it like that, but where I'm getting at, I suppose, is that it's likely that that person, your first person after your really bad relationship, right? That next person will still, although they will plug all of those gaps, they will still have some kind of qualities that are not what you want, that do not align with you. Or he may even have those same qualities as your previous person that you kind of overlooked and you didn't realize, because it's gonna be likely that that person hides them better, or they are just expressing them better. So let's say your ex was a psychopath and he was kind of verbally abusing you in every way, and it's like in your face narcissist, right? So beating you down, God forbid physically, but emotionally, potentially. Let's say they were abusive to you in whatever way, right? So that was in your face narcissistic taker behavior, right? Maybe this person is not doing that in your face, but they are kind of dropping some hints and making you feel like you're not enough there and there. Whatever you're doing, it's always like, oh yeah, that's great, but I kind of like, I don't know, this and that and that, whatever. It's always making you feel like you're not enough. So that's less obvious taker behavior, less obvious narcissistic behavior. It's not everything is about, I'm just generalizing that. So anything that's kind of not for your highest good, it's narcissistic energy. So that's at the highest bloody level I can possibly go. I'm not going into specific details, but when I say narcissistic energy, narcissistic person, that's what I mean. Anything that is not for your highest good, okay? So it's a selfish energy. That's what I mean by that. So let's say you realize that you've experienced all the good, you've seen places, you experience things with this person, but maybe intimacy is not great. Maybe that person is kind of making you feel small as well, just like the previous person, and it's kind of opening up your old wounds again. You kind of start feeling unfulfilled again, and that is not because that person changed, it's because that person helped you heal that emergency wound, that emergency leakage that you had. And once that person served that purpose, then you started seeing what's happening. So that person was the same the whole time. They haven't changed. That person had those qualities even in the beginning. You just didn't see it because you were just focusing on what you needed at the time. Imagine if you've been famished, starving for years and years and years for something, and then somebody offers you that, you're just gonna dive right into it, right? You're not gonna care about, if it's bread and butter, I don't know, and you haven't eaten for 3 weeks. Somebody gives you bread and butter, you're not gonna care what kind of silverware they have. You just don't, you won't even care about the surroundings. You're just gonna eat the bloody bread. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what happens. I just need it kind of thing. So then what happens? And I'm talking about it as if it just happens in a day, right? It could be years, right? You're in that relationship for years. It could be years, it could be decades, I don't know. The next person, once you realize that person is not the one again, you are gonna take a deep dip again in your energy, in your moods, in your life. You're gonna feel defeated again. Oh, I've been trying, I thought he's the one, he's not the one, he's doing this to me again, why am I doing this again, why am I feeling like this again, blah blah blah, why do I only, it's gonna start the whole, it's gonna spiral out of control. Why do I only attract people who take from me? Why is this, why can't I just find someone who is perfect, my perfect match? I tell you, love, why you can't find someone who's a perfect match? Because you're a fucking wreck. I am, and that's why I protect. Me being single is me protecting other people from me being the fucking wreck to them. Because once you walk away from those people, it's not only you who's broken, it's them as well. So however hard they're gonna try and hide it and move on and get revenge bodies themselves and stuff like that, all sorts of things, and date someone and they're potentially married now, your exes and stuff like that, and that just adds to your misery because you just feel even worse that the person you left, right, is potentially in a new relationship, have kitties and have everything that you always wanted but they never gave you, right, with someone else. And here's you failing the relationship number 2, let's say, and still not knowing what you want. Guess what kind of thoughts are gonna creep in your head? Did I make a mistake? Is this my karma for letting the person go? Maybe he was the one. What if I try and get him back or her? You're just gonna feel worthless, basically. You're gonna feel like you're failing at everything in your life. You're gonna feel depleted of energy, but it's gonna be because you're not listening to your own self. You didn't give yourself a time to heal after that first realization. It's not even a relationship. Even if you're not in a relationship, if it's a job, if it's a family dynamic or something, once you realize that something is not working or something is toxic, if you're doing, first step is to remove yourself from the situation. Second step is to allow yourself decent time to heal. And don't focus on the time. I'll repeat that. It's not about, for 3 months I'm not gonna date. No, it doesn't matter how long you're not gonna date. It's what you do with that time. It's not about the time itself, it's about what you do during that time. And for you to set the deadline is not a way forward either. There shouldn't be any deadlines. It should be, I'm gonna really think about myself, read self-help books, listen to podcasts, listen to the songs, do journaling, do meditation, all sorts of things. Go within, see what's happening, why is this happening. So in this situation, when you lost your relationship number 2, right, with that person, let's say you decide you don't need time to heal. You decide, my biological clock is ticking, I'm in my mid-30s, I need to stop popping babies out because I'm gonna get too old and I'm gonna end up having no babies, right? They need to, come on, gentlemen, come and pop some babies in me, kind of thing. Or if you're a man, you kind of, I don't know what's happening in your head, and when you're 35 you probably just feel like, I'm just gonna settle with anybody because I'm just this old man, nobody wants me, I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life single, so I'll just take anybody. I don't know, I'm being stereotypical, I always have been. What do you do? Don't listen to me if you don't like it. So let's say you're a lady and you've taken, in this whole example, you've been a lady, so suck it up. So let's say you're a lady and you just ended the relationship number 2, you let that second person go, and then you choose once again, because you haven't learned your lesson yet again, because you're not listening, because you never take the time. You have these realizations that it's repeating. You don't do anything about it. You just give in again to society push that your biological clock is ticking. You already had 2 relationships, potentially both long term, right? You're in your mid-30s, 40s, I don't know. The clock is ticking. If you want babies, you need to do something about it. Even if you don't want babies, you're getting old, right? Who's gonna want you? It's still there. I know it's less of that right now, but it's still there, really. It's still, that pressure is still there. It's in the air. So what do? You go back on Tinders of the world and all sorts of dating sites. You go with you go and make new friends who are single, potentially younger than you, and you just act completely out of your age and just go and just fuck about with anybody again. And you end up in a situation where you're in a relationship with allegedly the one, right? You finally found somebody, you bombard that person. That person, let me tell you, it's gonna probably be your age as well, or older. And that's what's gonna connect. That's where you're gonna connect at that point, because again, where are you coming from? What is the reason that you're out there? What is the reason that you're putting yourself out there? The reason in this scenario, after breakup number 2, is that you feel that you're running out of time. So guess what? Who you're gonna attract? You're gonna attract a person who feels the same. They potentially have kids, they've been married. At that point, obviously, if you're over your 30s, you're gonna have some kind of baggage, right? Whether you want it or not, your own baggage is 2 failed relationships and unhealed wounds, right? That other person may have kids with someone else. They may have been married. There could be all sorts of all sorts of baggage. The baggage could be the same as yours. The point is, you will both connect on the fact that you are feeling the pressure of time. So it's likely that because it's your relationship number 3 and that person is also running out of time, it's likely that you're gonna tie the knot really quickly. You're gonna get married really quickly. It's probably gonna be, 6 months or something. You're gonna start popping babies left and right and center. And that's it. You're living your dream, right? Right? You've got everything you wanted. Did you? Did you heal your wounds though? When you pop those babies out, when you get married to that person and all of this rush of everything that you wanted to achieve or felt like you have to achieve. So get married before 40, I suppose. Maybe that's the new goal. Get married before 40. Have a kid or 2, right? And just settle, buy a house, settle and just be happy, right? And then what happens when you sit there one evening and you realize that you're home alone all the time? You're looking after the kids by yourself. Your husband is working, which is fair, but what does he do once? And you're potentially working as well. Maybe you have a babysitter looking after those kids and stuff. But babysitters don't stay there overnight, right? They don't stay there after you're back from work, do they? So you're there with your kids, cooking, cleaning, and doing everything. What does your partner do when he gets back? Taking your food, taking your intimacy, taking your love. You have a little conversation, maybe you have a wine or something, blah blah blah. And maybe you have wine every night, and maybe that's the only way for you to bond. Over drinks, you just need some kind of stimulant to connect, because really, what do you have in common anymore? You healed your immediate leakage of time is running out. That's what connected you with that person. It's healed, right? Time is not running out anymore. The kids are there, they're growing. You're married, you have the house, everything's sorted. You're sitting there struggling to connect to your partner sober. You're struggling there to connect to your partner without getting some kind of role play or, I don't know, any kind of stimulants, right, to toys, whatever, to get intimate with them anymore. That's when you start realizing you don't really have that much in common with that person. You may be a good team at that point, right? You build, you got everything sorted. You may feel that initial rush of, oh my goodness, that was the one, we're so happy, we got everything. You're happy because you achieved the things that you thought you needed to achieve. That's where the buzz is coming from, right? You both connected on the fact that time is running out. We're not married. We don't have kids. In that scenario, you've now got it all, and you start drifting apart suddenly, and you don't understand why. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because that person served this purpose. It sounds harsh, I know. Hate me if you will, but that's true. That's why you're disconnecting. So what is there to do next? You start arguing, you have the kids, you feel trapped, you're losing the connection with that person, you become unhappy on both sides, potentially, but you have kids, so you're now stuck. You start looking at the whole thing as a mistake. Why did I do that? He's the worst father, he's never here. Or, I have to drag everything on my own narrow little shoulders, blah blah blah, and that person doesn't help me, he doesn't care about kids, I have to do it all, blah blah blah. and they're just making excuses not to be at home anymore, and you're getting more and more devastated, and everything is crumbling down again for the third time. And you wonder, why can't I have happiness? Why am I not happy? I had everything I've ever dreamed of. Everything's happened for me. Why do I still feel so painfully lonely? Why do I still feel so defeated? Why do I feel so disappointed in myself? If I've actually achieved the goals that I was set to achieve, shouldn't I be happy? Why? Where did that happiness go? I was happy for a bit, right? Where did it go? And you don't understand. You can't understand that it's all your own doing. You didn't take the time to heal. And it just drags along. And if you look back now, every single person the situation is just getting worse and worse, because you have more unhealed relationships, you have more unhealed wounds, and they're just dragging along as you're getting older and older and older. You should become wiser and more experienced, yet you just feel like you had more control of your life and what you're doing when in your 20s probably than you have now. You start looking back at your first relationship thinking, oh my goodness, if I only talked to that person, if I was only honest, if I was able to speak up, if I was able to just tell him what's not working, if I was able to draw my boundaries, I could have been so happy with that person. And that's probably truth. But you didn't have that wisdom back then. You only have it now because you dragged yourself through mud, experienced another 2 relationships, right? And only now you kind of see what you could have done differently in that first relationship. And maybe that person was your soulmate. But it's too late, right? That person is happy with someone else because you let them go. And you're in the hole again. But this time, you can't, even if you wanted to, give yourself the time to heal. And you finally realize that that's the key, and you need to just switch off from everybody and everything and do it so that you can enjoy the rest of your life exactly the way you need, instead of the way you want. Because the way you want things that other people, more often than not, if you're not healing, if you're not connected with your true self, you will go for the things that other people impose you should want at any stage of your life. So when you're young and single, they impose that you shouldn't. The opinion is that you shouldn't be single for too long. What are you gonna do? Just gonna end up being a single, a sad old lady with a cat, like me, right? Are you gonna? You can't live by yourself for the rest of your life. Well, I can if I choose to, right? Right now, I'm fine like this. Once I feel ready to explore other options, I will. But right now, I am fully busy with everything that's going on, and yet I'm so busy, it's unbelievable, because I'm trying to somehow juggle the life that's expected of me, which is work, right? Just doing my usual work, and also doing all of this behind the scenes. So I've never been more busy than I am now, yet I've never been more chilled than I am right now, because everything is happening. I allow everything to happen as it happens. I've never had so much free time. I've never, even with all of these things, that free time is me time, and I prioritize on that when I'm not working. When I'm working, right? I'm there for the people who I'm working with as well. So I'm never abandoning my true self in any scenario. At work, I'm helping a lot of people there as well. And then once I'm done with that, I'm here talking to you guys. And when I'm not doing that, I'm talking to myself and healing myself, because I can't help anyone if I'm a fucking wreck, right? So, and above all of that, I still have tons of time to go on long walks and cuddle with my cat and read books and read all sorts of wisdom that I'm attracting. It's the time moves differently. I had a chat with someone actually that I bumped into a couple of months ago. I bumped into a guy who I worked with probably 5-7 years ago, and we were talking about something, and I was telling him about, how I've become more spiritual and everything, and I can tell he's kind of listening to me because he likes my boobs. But it's obvious, guys. If there are any guys listening, it's just there's a single lady talking to me, and I don't work with her anymore. Yeah, sure, I listen to you talking about fucking self-empowerment and shit. It wasn't that bad. He was actually listening a bit more than just on the surface level, but still. So when I was talking to him about the spirituality and how I just have that, and how the freedom is to just being able to do whatever you want with your day, because it's not planned in accordance to someone else's expectations. And the analogy he gave me, he was like, what I noticed, that time is moving differently for different people. And I was like, how do you mean? He goes, well, in football, because obviously what the guy is gonna tell me, it doesn't understand that he's got the wisdom. Actually, it was a very wise thing to say, but in his little head, it's just football analogy, right? He didn't realize how clever that actually was. So he said, I noticed that in football there are some players who get the ball and they rush to just kick it to the gate as soon as possible, right? So there are those guys, and there are guys who get the ball and they take their sweet time with the ball, and it's almost like time is moving differently for them. Somebody's rushing really, really quickly, and then others just take their time, and they both achieve the same thing, kind of. So I thought that was really interesting observation from someone who's completely disconnected from what's happening. But it's an interesting thing, and it is actually that. So once you, going back to the example of you sitting there all by yourself with 2 kids climbing on your head, with the husband that you can't connect to anymore, who's less and less at home because he's probably, again, I'm gonna be stereotypical, men deal with that differently. He's probably already entertaining some other ideas, right? Because it's a different, as I said, we're all wired differently, and if you take offense in any of this, just stop listening to me. I'm telling you, I'm not gonna apologize for having an opinion on things. My opinion is based on examples from life, right? That's it. I'm not gonna apologize for that. It's a right opinion from my perspective, right? Your opinion is right from your perspective. I'm not gonna go and attack you, so I expect you to just, leave. You don't need to attack me. It's not gonna help. I'm not gonna change. You're just gonna create negativity for nothing. Basically, I'm not gonna react, and I'm likely gonna delete your comment as well, so don't do it. But basically, as I said, everybody's wired differently. So men, once they feel disconnect, the thing with men is I know we all always say they are ruled by their cocks, right? They're not really. It's normally it's connected, and it's more connected than it is with women. So if a man feels like his woman does not see him as the hero anymore, and does not see him as the provider, and when they get treated by their own woman like they're failing all the time. What's happening in their head? In their head is, it affects their other brain down there as well. So to avoid that, because it's a trigger, conscious or unconscious trigger, when they feel worthless at home, they get into their head. They're never gonna admit that. They get into their head. Once they get into their head, their little head stops functioning, right? That's how they are wired. So to avoid that, whether they realize that or not, sometimes they realize that and they just go for other women to get that validation, to restore that kind of confidence in themselves. They need to be needed. In general, women, or feminine energies and masculine energies, right, if you like, and everybody can be masculine, everybody can be feminine. We have a balance. We have to balance those two energies out, but we have both within us. I will talk a little bit about it, but just look it up if you want to. So they need to, in general, the masculine energies, or males, are wired in a way that their prime purpose is to be the protector, the provider, right? And that's the qualities of a masculine. And on the feminine side, we are nurturers, we are carers, right? So, and when we're in perfect balance, when we find the right person, there's a harmony all around us, right? But we need to achieve that right balance within ourselves. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So when the man gets the feeling that his woman is not seeing him as a protector, as a provider anymore, when she makes him feel like he's failing at everything, he's not enough, and he's doing everything wrong, and she could just, it would be so much easier if he was just basically gone. And that's how we make men feel, and that's on us women, to be honest. That's how we make them feel when we start attacking them from not doing this and that and that and that. They feel worthless, right? Because we kind of taken away their whole purpose of being the provider and protector. So in that scenario, that man, consciously or unconsciously, realizing that he's gonna go and try and be the provider and the protector to someone else. Maybe there's someone at work who's vulnerable, who needs their protection. Maybe they met somebody at the bar who's mega fun, and she never makes them feel like they're worthless. She's kind of putting them on the pedestal, and they get that kind of kick from that person. It could be those two scenarios, could be many other scenarios, right? But they need to be needed. So if it's a conscious choice, oh my goodness, I can't get up my little brain, I can't get my little brain up, right? I can't get it to function. I need to go and try it with someone else. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's just that my wife is just, I'm not attracted to her anymore, something. So that's what's happening in their head. Or it could be unconscious, that they allow, they toy with that idea of somebody else, and it helps them restore the balance within themselves, and they just slowly deviate towards that other person. It's just, they always need to, for their because they're wired differently, and it's hard for us women to understand. They have to, one way or another, they have to find a way to clear their head so that the little head can function. And that's a big thing for them. It needs to function because it's in the way they're wired, that's where their masculinity is, and their ability to get up. It's not that simple, but it's a really, really big thing for them. Okay, if us women, right, if we look from our perspective, we spend years and years and years faking orgasms, We spent years and years and years just given so much emphasis on the practical side of having a man in our life that we feel it's normal if we're neglected in the intimate department, if you know what I mean. So imagine if you have a man in a different scenario. You have a man who's providing for the family. You don't even need to work. Everything's done. Or maybe you do need to work, but let's say you're both working and you have a man by your side who's providing, who's protecting the family, is secure. You go on holidays, you have a nice house, you can afford things, you don't need to worry about anything. All of that is fine, right? And he's a good dad as well. And and some you do things together and all that, but you still feel that something is missing because you're not healed. And you're feeling that disconnect, and that disconnect could be intimacy, let's say in this example. It's lack of it. Maybe you do it when you're on holidays. Maybe you do it when there's special occasions like, I don't know, all Christmas, Valentine's Day, birthdays, when you're on holidays, when kids are out or something like that. Maybe you do it when the circumstances are right for that, or when you had a few drinks and you just feel relaxed and you have a little laugh, or you take some time to actually connect with one another and talk instead of just being busy with DIY and running after kids and stuff like that. So it becomes occasional, and when it becomes occasional, it's not really good either. You know why? Because you haven't experienced that pleasure, that passion for so long. Your expectations either completely are gone and you just go, yeah, whatever, whatever I get is gonna be fine, or your expectations are really high, but then when it happens, it's not really that great. And that is the reason why it's occasional. It's a vicious circle. It's occasional because it's not good. It's not good because it's occasional. Because if it was, it would not be occasional if it was good. You would want it more and more and more, and you want it more often as well. So for women, they look at it from in those scenarios, they look at it from a practical perspective, where men, they would still have a side hustle somewhere, more likely. Whereas women would not see it as an option. They would just go, okay, I can't really complain, everything else is fine, I can't really complain, it's okay. I don't even think you have that conversation with yourself at that point as a woman, because you just go, everything's fine, and it's never a priority. The men are wired differently in that perspective, because it's always a priority for them, because that's where their masculinity lies. Our femininity lies in us having that nurturing environment. So our sexuality, our intimate needs are never the priority. We care more about having a safe, beautiful house, our kids being looked after, performing well at work, being there for our friends, for our family, being that nurturer, the protector. That's where our femininity is. That's why we will never prioritize our intimate sexual needs, whereas men would. And that's the difference between men and women. So when I'm saying I'm stereotypical, that's where I'm coming from. It's just we're wired differently, and we need to accept that. There is nothing we can do about it. It is what it is. So saying all that, though, what do? It's your relationship number 3 now, right? You have everything you allegedly wanted. You're still not happy. You're still lonely. Maybe you then realize that you should have taken that time to heal. Maybe you should have taken that time to really connect with yourself, but you now feel trapped in a loveless marriage with 2 kids who you cannot abandon due to your femininity, right? Due to your feminine nature, you will not abandon your kids to heal yourself. It just doesn't happen. That's not what you do. That's not your priority. Your kids are your priority. Safe and beautiful house is your priority. You're not gonna take the time to heal yourself now when you have all of those dependents and all of those responsibilities. So what can you do in that situation? Well, my dear, more often than not, this is what's going to happen in that kind of situation. You're going to have a breakdown because it's too much. Because not only you're feeling lonely, not only you're feeling like you've made so many mistakes in your life, not only you've realized that you needed to take the time for healing, to actually have the life that you actually wanted, not the life that was imposed on you by the society. But you are now feeling, and I know you love your kitties and everything, but you feel trapped. You feel like you cannot. I had all of those opportunities, and you'll have the regret. You'll feel guilt for even having these needs to eat, for even having these thoughts. Nobody's gonna support you. And you will just feel, and you will carry on going. I'm telling you, you're gonna carry on going and going and going and going until you can't go no more. And you're gonna break at that point. And then, if it's not gonna be you breaking down mentally, emotionally, right? It's not gonna be you breaking down emotionally. It's gonna manifest in some kind of physical disease because you're suppressing. Because once you realize these things, you need to take action. If you keep ignoring, even listening to this podcast, maybe some of the things I told you would triggers to you. If you're now gonna choose not to do anything about it once you got triggered, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse, because once you learn something, you need to do something about it. You can't ignore it anymore. Why I'm talking about this topic today is when I was doing my little meditation this morning, I was thinking about there's this guy, right, who's showing the attention to me right now. And I'm looking back at the relationship, my long-term relationship that I walked away from, and my other relationship that never got anywhere, really. It got very, very high really, really quickly, and then all sorts of shit happened, because when it was getting really, really high, I was like, let's slow down, it's going too fast. And that other person didn't want to listen, and I had to pull away eventually, because I said, it's not fair. I said, I'm toxic to you because I'm not healed and I need to go. That person could not just deal with that, but because he wasn't healed either, so I had to walk away from that person. And he came back several times, still not healed much. Like each time he comes back, he's like, oh my goodness, like getting better and better and better. But then I don't know what it is with us. We just trigger whatever unhealed parts we have in one another. And the unhealed part in me that he triggered this time was, and that's the point I was thinking about this morning, was that I allow people to take their time with me. Basically, I give them everything they want really quickly, because I can read people very well. So, and I am a giver, right? And I adjust to the needs of another person, especially when it's my love interest, right? I can tune in exactly. So give me a person, right, that is gonna be my love interest. So that's empathic quality, right? We can sense where people are lacking, and we can fill those gaps. So imagine somebody coming in all cracked open and everything. I will be that gel that will glue everything together. I will just gel their broken pieces together. And that's why it's easy to fall in love with me. I know that, and I need to protect people from it as well. So it's my responsibility, because I know that. I realize that, when they say with great power comes great responsibility, that's exactly what it is. So I walked away from that second person because I wanted to protect him, because I know better what he needs and what he wants than he does. But he is healing, and I always look at it as if nothing that's meant for you can ever be taken away. So we may end up together again. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not dating. Maybe that's why I'm not responding to people who are showing me the attention. But anyway, I thought, you still have to think about those things. So there's this guy showing me attention, and this morning I'm kind of thinking about, okay, so what kind of mistake? Should I kind of respond? Should I not? And it came to my head that the repeating lesson that I never learn is that I allow them to take their sweet time. I focus on what they need instead of what I need, always. And that second person, he came back in my life, and I once again jumped straight into overgiving. I didn't say, oh, I love you, I miss you, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't like that. It wasn't in that kind of over giving. But I still, for the days when he was down, my whole focus would be on that person. Something is happening, and he's telling me, this is my situation, this is happening, and my priority immediately becomes helping him find a solution to his problem. It's not my work anymore. It's not what I need. It's not my meditations. It's not my time. It's still about him. And I caught myself doing that, so I had to walk away again. And I think he was very patient with me that whole time. And I was like, well, I'm not healed. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes again. I don't even know if I want to go back to this anymore. And he was like, let's take it slow. Let's just talk, basically. So we were talking, and the more we talk, the more I see how I allow him not to care about how I really feel. So when he pings me and says, how you doing? I always say I'm fine, and I make a joke and I tell him about my day, and blah blah blah. We have a little laugh. But on the days when I wasn't really well, I was in and out of hospital. Last week actually, I was in and out of hospital, facing an operation potentially, and stuff like that. So health-wise, I wasn't really well. But because our communication is online, unless I intentionally give a hint that something is not right, he's never gonna know. So because I never give those hints, because I feel like I need to protect him, because he's having his own issues, right? And I've worked so hard to build him up again, as I usually do. I feel like I cannot do this to him, because he would get worried and blah blah blah. So I just say I'm fine. He didn't even know what was happening. He didn't know that I was at the hospital in the surgical unit waiting for my test results potentially to be cut open the same day. He didn't know that. I didn't want him to know. I needed the support. I was crying. I was in so much pain. I was walking. I had to go from one place in the hospital to another place. And I was walking and tears were rolling down my cheeks. And I'm walking there going, I'm completely alone. And yeah, who's gonna feed my cat? You know, like a sad cat lady. Who's gonna feed my cat? But it's not an issue. I was just like, I could just do with somebody hugging me right now. I just really, really, really just want somebody to hold my hand and say that everything's gonna be okay. But at the same time, I'm blocking that from happening. Because nobody knew that I was at the hospital apart from my manager. Because I had to tell her that I'm not gonna be at work. That's it. My family still doesn't know. I don't want to worry them. It's actually going well now. I'm not in pain anymore, and it will take another month until I even know whether they're gonna actually do the operation or not. So I'm kind of making sure they dodge the bullet, basically. It's just me, but it's my problems, right? But I feel it's the same problem for all empaths or givers, right? For all caring people, we just always feel like we need to protect everybody. Their pain, their little struggles are more important than ours. So once I realized that, I had to walk away. And this guy now showing me interest triggered that in me again. Because I thought, why am I even considering this? Is it because I can see he is trying, and he's a nice guy, and I kind of feel like it wouldn't be fair to give him a chance, because again, I'm in the same situation. Well, I'll tell you, actually only now I realize this, but so the time, right? Yesterday I was talking to you about how it's 7 months that I live by myself. So I think that trigger kind of makes me consider whether I should give him a chance. It's a nice guy. It's been long time. It's summer approaching. Why not? And that timing, it's a horrible thing to add in any equation, because it always pushes you to do something that is not necessarily potentially for your highest good. So now that I know this again, I'm gonna have to sit and meditate on it to see what are my actual reasons for even considering this. Because I don't think there are any valid reasons. Apart from I really miss to being hugged. In general, I just really, really miss that. Apart from that, why am I even considering that person? I haven't healed yet. Because yet again, I feel like I owe him a chance. Because he's being nice to me, and he's trying, and why not? There is literally, on the surface, there's no reason why not to try. Just go on a date. There is no reason. On the surface. There is a reason when you dig deeper. And that's why would I even consider that? That's how you need to start thinking. And once you actually align with yourself, you need to start digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're gonna surprise yourself. Okay, let's go back to the example of you having a breakdown or some kind of disease manifesting in your life to slow you down. Because there will be something that will slow you down one way or another. It could be, sometimes it's like a family tragedy. It could be that somebody close to you dies, you lose a parent or a sibling or a really, really close friend, and that gives you that trigger to reconsider your own life. It could be anything. As I said, it could be as simple as a song, as an article, as a podcast, anything. It could be as huge or as little as it needs to be for you to look within and start changing something. So once you're in that place, it's almost, when it's a big thing, right? It's almost a blessing in disguise. Although whatever that big thing is, that triggers you to look within. Any bigger thing kind of, again, from a society perspective, gives you an excuse to break, right? When it's a little thing, not so much. You can't just go and tell somebody that, I listened to the song and it triggered something in me, so I'm just going now. Sorry, you have the kids, I'm just fucking going to discover myself and do some pottery in Thailand or something. Nobody's gonna. But when something huge happens in your life, and it's bad enough and triggering enough and it's painful enough for people to then go, okay, yeah, I understand. That's almost more acceptable. It's sad how the world works. Anything, the trigger is a trigger, really. It doesn't matter how big or small. If you got triggered, it's a blessing. It's easier because it's easier when it's a big thing, because there's not so much pressure from the people around you. It's less pressure from the society for you to change completely, right? Because that's what at that point, that's what you need. You need like a 180 on yourself to reconsider yourself. And I know it's, again, nobody talks about it, right? But when you have kids, everybody thinks that they need to stay in the relationship because they have kids, for the kids, right? That's not true. If mommy and daddy are fighting, or they're not talking, or there's something wrong, kids can feel it. It's the energy. It's no longer harmonious atmosphere at home. They can feel it. It's not good for them that you're staying there in that misery. If you're miserable, there's no way your partner is happy and hunky-dory, right? You both are, and they are your kids. You share DNA. You share the connection with them, and you will share that connection with them forever. They can feel you. They can feel that you're miserable. They can feel you're sad. They can feel you feel defeated. They can feel that negativity, that desperation, that emotional starvation. They can feel it all. And you being a woman, you're probably gonna lean on your kids as well, because they love you unconditionally, right? You're gonna lean on them. If you're a man, you more likely are gonna detach from them. It is what it is. Life is, it would be so much simpler if people could just accept that their situations matter and each situation is unique. We just need to learn to accept that. People in general, they just don't. They always think about what everybody else would say, and they always compare themselves to the others. So you're in the situation now thinking, oh my god, my friend Karen, her husband is alcoholic. My husband doesn't drink, at least that, So you almost validate that she's got a better excuse. Her position is worse than yours, basically, which gives her a better excuse to leave him, and you can't leave yours because your situation is not that bad, sorry. That's, again, you're comparing yourself with others, and you're taking the power away from your situation. Your situation is yours. It's the biggest. It should be the only thing that matters, not what everybody else are doing and how their lives are. Your situation matters the most because it's your life. You only have one life to live, if you believe that, right? Even if you don't believe that, even if you believe in like immortal souls and you believe in reincarnation and everything, it's not your only life to live, but you are living this life for a purpose. That purpose is not to live it for somebody else. You still have to live your life. What are you gonna do with it? So your situation matters because you are the creator of your own story. In my opinion, when you're in a marriage and it's loveless marriage and everything's falling apart and that person served this purpose, you need to let them go. And if you have kids, it's gonna be better for them too. It's gonna be the initial, they're gonna blame themselves. They're gonna think that they've done something wrong. They're gonna act out. They're gonna do this and that and that. And it's up to you how you're gonna handle it. But above all, when they grow older, or if they are already teenagers and stuff, they will realize that it was better. Because you know for a fact that the longer you would stay in that relationship, in that loveless marriage, the worse it would get. You would become bitter. You would lose your light. And you had your light when you have your kiddies. I bet you if you wanted kids and you got kids, you were nothing but light to them. And now they see you fading and fading and fading. It has huge impact on them as well. So when you're in a loveless relationship, the best thing you can do for yourself and for your kids is to let the person go. The person who's depleting you. Don't talk ill about your partner to your kids ever. It's their father, it's their mother, right? You cannot talk ill. You cannot try and bend them your direction. That's completely selfish. Don't ever do that. They have to love and respect both of their parents, right? You can't take responsibility for what the other person is going to do in that situation. Once you say that you need to divorce them, they can become completely violent. They can welcome it. They can blame you for everything. Nothing should matter to you. If you want to reach that realization that I'm not happy with this person, I can no longer do this anymore. I need to do something to claim my power back, and I need to heal. And I need to do it for myself. I need to do it for my kids. And that's the best thing. And it's going to be hard. And whatever, you need to reach the point where nothing that other person does or other people around you or society say, you need to focus on the fact that that's the right thing to do. That's what I should have done. I got that wisdom now. I know exactly what I need to do. I know why I need to do it. I need to save my life, basically. And nothing can stop you once you're in that kind of mindset. When I left my person after 11 years, instead of planning my own wedding, I walked away and I was like, and I could just breathe for the first time. And my view to everything that was happening, so I was off work, on medication, having this spiritual awakening, I'm having this identity crisis, I'm having this stress and anxiety attacks, and that new person came into my life, and he's wonderful and everything that I could ever dream of and more. Everything's happening fast, and everything could have happened really fast, and I could have been in the new relationship straight away, and it was a beautiful time to do. It was beautiful opportunity to do that, but it wasn't the right time. I knew it that if I go for it now, I'm gonna blow it, sorry. I couldn't force myself to make a mistake again. Even if I wanted to, I was already connected through my journaling and through my meditations. I was already connected to my true self enough that even if I wanted to go and do that, that inner voice within me was screaming, no, it's not right. It's not the time. You need to heal. You need to heal first. Don't do it. And once I realized that, I started seeing the things. So I left my first person because of the narcissistic qualities, right? Once I had that realization that I can't go to this new relationship because I'm not healed, I started seeing that my new person had narcissistic qualities as well. And I was like, I'm not jumping from one narcissistic relationship to another. I'm not healed, clearly, that I attract that kind of situation into my life again. That I attracted this same kind of qualities into my life again. I'm not healed. I shouldn't be attracting this. And that was my brave step to just, the way I looked at everything, nothing matters. The only thing mattered to me at that point was my own healing. It's my life. If I jumped in that relationship, however wonderful it looked, like if I jumped into that relationship that back then, I would have neglected myself for another person again. And as I said, I tried to say, let's take it slow. It's not the right time. I'm still toxic. Because I was like in and out, like not knowing what to do. It's like, oh yes, I really want this. And then, a couple of hours later, or a couple of days later, I would be like, no, can't do this. I can do this. That's toxic. That's toxic from the other person's perspective. It's okay when it's the chat in your head, but when there's another human being involved on the other end of this whole thing, it's toxic. So my attitude back then was, I'm like a fucking snowplow. I am the only person that matters in my life right now. I need to prioritize on myself, right? I'm like a snowplow. I'm just gonna go forward for me. Whoever's in my way is gonna have to move, or it's gonna get crushed. And I just carry on going forward. And people got crushed. Some people moved away. That second person moved away. Some people got crushed, completely disappeared from my life. Whatever goes, whatever needs to happen will happen. But I will heal. I will take my power back. I will take control of my own life back. I will be the creator of my own life. I will no longer do things because other people put me in situations where I attract situations where I feel that I should be doing this, or why not, like with this new guy, why not? It's been a while. That cracks me up, really, Sandra. That really, really cracks me up. But it is what it is. You'll be forever learning. Once you tuned in, you'll be forever learning. And you're never gonna find a person who's completely perfect for you. But it's about how you feel. It's about your reasons behind why you're falling for that person. It's about your reasons why you choose to be with that person. You have to be tuned in. So let's continue the conversation in the next episode. But right now, if you're in the situation that I described in one of my examples, the best thing for you to do right now is to take a step back and try and connect to yourself. Start talking to yourself. Start writing. Start journaling. Meditating. Go on long walks and just think. Just think it through. Just try and wrap your head around what's happening. That's the first step. then take time off, and then decide what's best for you. I'm here for you, always. Love you, Nikki.